Hey there, thanks for watching. I hope you're doing well. Here we are back in my garage. I've had a haircut. First time I've been to the barber's in quite a while, so snazzy new haircut. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more today about investing in your business. And I have to say that I'm no business expert. If I was a business expert, I'd probably be a millionaire by now, but I'm not. My parents have run a business their whole lives, their own business. I've always been around business, I guess, my whole life as I've been growing up, and I've always had a keen interest in business and doing things myself. I've never had a real job, in actual fact, apart from a paper round I used to have when I was a kid. But there we go. I have run my own business for 20 years, and I think in that time I've built up a bit of experience. I've tried different things. So I wanted to talk about some of the ways I've invested in my business. I don't want you to think that I just buy expensive bits of kit without considering the cost, because I know I use a lot of different things on my channel. I have been given things to use and show on my channel. And I really wanted to tell you that I think it's really important to carefully consider the expense of any investment you make in equipment or whatever it might be, and make sure that there's going to be a payback for that piece of equipment, especially if you are running a small business, even a one-man band, much like myself. It's important really to count every little expense, because that really makes a difference, and you want to make sure the gap between your expenses is low and your profit is high. You want to keep that gap as wide as you can, don't you? Because that's the point of it at the end of the day. Running your business is to make sure you're making profit. So yeah, over the years I have invested in various different things. So I did a lot of canvassing to get started, and I got to the point where I'd filled my time with traditional window cleaning, and I was up and down the ladder 5 days a week cleaning windows the traditional way. A lot of domestic houses, mainly £15-20 jobs. I mean, that kind of pace, it is hard work. And I had this mentality all the time that I've got to be cleaning a window to make money during my working day. And sometimes, you know, you do a day's work like that and you're looking at the list of work, and I've totaled it up at the bottom, and I might think this day's work is worth this amount of money, and that would motivate me to get that work done in that day. But then the money seems to trickle in, you know, it's coming from so many different places, waiting for every single customer to pay. I got to the point where I was really looking for some big scores. Where can I find bigger chunks of money? Where can I make bigger chunks of profit? Because I felt like the pace was relentless, and I'd done a good thing with my canvassing. I really was pleased with the point I'd got to. So I started looking for other opportunities, little things I could do to try and bring in some bigger chunks of money. Now the thing was, I had built up this customer base, these group of customers which knew that I was regular. They had come to know that I'd be reliable and trustworthy, and they knew I did a good and thorough job. So I started to build up this reputation. I was thinking, well, I've already got these group of customers. Surely if I offer these same customers other services, they would be willing to give me a go on these. And we've already got that working relationship established with my customers. One of the easiest things to do was gutter clearing. Because I was there with a ladder, customers started asking me if I could just have a look in the gutter, could I just check the gutter. That was nice and easy and a natural progression. I just used a few simple gutter tools like these. You might have seen these before as gutter scoop. These are really popular. And these two attachments are called Pro Gutter attachments. And all of these just fit on the end of an Unger Opti-Lock cone. They just screw on like that really easily, and then you can start scooping out the gutter. And I did make a video explaining how I use these and how I've been cleaning out gutters. Now obviously that's using a ladder. Back in the day when I started out using ladders, one of the things I started thinking about was pressure washing patios and driveways. The reason I started thinking about that, because I'm putting my ladder up on some people's patios and they're getting quite slippery. So I'm thinking someone needs to clean this. Why don't I offer to clean it? That was my first biggest investment. Was I started thinking about pressure washing. For me as a window cleaner, apart from my vehicle, I'm only used to small expenditures really, a few squeegees. My biggest expense was probably my ladder, a couple of £100. So to start thinking about pressure washing is quite a big investment for me. And at this stage, I still haven't really got a lot in the way of savings. My business is just still getting going from that point of view. So how am I going to get the money? So what I decided to do is I built up sections of work in different locations. A couple of bits that I'd picked up were kind of further afield. I like the idea of trying to work locally. So what I decided to do was to sell off part of my window cleaning round. I managed to do this. I sold off part of my window cleaning round, and that funded my purchase of the pressure washing equipment. Now the other thing which I did, which was really important, was I wanted to put a plan in place so that once I'd spent that money from the work I had planned, I wanted to recoup that money as quickly as I could, make that money back on what I was spending out. I wanted to make sure that it was worthwhile spending out the money on the equipment. So for probably a year or so, even before I bought the equipment, I started talking to my customers. I was saying to them, oh, it's getting a bit slippy on this patio. If I offered a pressure washing service, maybe would you get me to clean it? So I started talking to a few customers, speaking to them about this. And then one spring, I got the equipment, I booked the jobs in. Probably within a couple of months or so, I'd made my money back on that equipment. So I was really pleased with what I'd able to achieve, and I put the investment into the equipment. I got my money back as quickly as I could, and then I was into profit. I knew that any jobs I booked in after that were kind of easily into profit now. This is doing quite well. And so I went through some spells where I was busy with the pressure washing, and then other quieter patches, but that didn't bother me so much. I always had my regular window cleaning round to back me up. And I think that's really important for any business, any well-rounded business. You have your bread and butter, but you have your big scores as well. And if you can keep those two things in balance, the more big scores you bring in, great. But then you've always got your bread and butter there to back you up as well. So that's how I think I view things in my business. You know, I like to do different things. I like to bring in the big jobs. It's always a different challenge, but I've always got my window cleaning to fall back on as well. That's always there. So I started to get into this idea where you could buy an impressive piece of equipment, and I started to notice the impact that that would have on the customer. When you bring out this impressive, professional looking, heavy duty piece of equipment, I'd see it in people's eyes. They'd almost paid you before you'd even done the job because they'd seen the equipment and they were impressed. And I think I went through a transitional period where people would see me as a window cleaner who did pressure washing to an exterior cleaning service, full exterior cleaning service. And it took a while for some of my customers' mentality to change a bit. They'd ask me for a quote for pressure washing, and they think they were going to get a cheap price because it's coming from the window cleaner. You get people with a bit of an attitude about things like that. But then after a while, I think I'd have customers coming back to me who weren't window cleaning jobs, who were coming back to me a couple of years later for repeat pressure washing jobs. And then more and more of my customers are viewing me as an exterior cleaning service rather than just Ashley the window cleaner. So it took time for that to happen. The more as time has gone on, I've realised the mentality of putting across a good business image, and I think that's made a big difference to me in my business. Professional looking invoices, professional van, being well presented personally, all that stuff makes a good difference to the business, the way the customer views you. So I turned my attention to the gutter clearing side of things, and obviously just those simple tools using the ladder, I wanted to move that on a bit. And the next big investment I made was probably the gutter vac. Now that was a bit of a no-brainer because I'd already done gutter clearing. I already had customers asking me to do that kind of thing year after year. So one autumn, I knew I was going to be busy with gutter clearing. I knew I could get it done more easily, more quickly, more efficiently with a decent vac. So the gutter vac was the next thing. And customers were obviously very impressed. It comes across so much more professional. especially if you're using a camera and things like that. Customers love a bit of technology as well. They love to be able to see what you're doing. So that works really well for me. I really like that as well. So then when people see that you're professional, that you carry yourself in a professional way, that you have that professional image, you've got the professional equipment in place, all of those things help to kind of justify the price. So people are much more willing to pay a higher price when they see all the effort you've put into these different aspects of your business. Really makes a difference, and it adds up to, in the end, they're paying a more professional price, let's say. So those kind of things really make a difference, and they've really made a difference to my business over the years. So yeah, that's how things have worked for me. I mean, I started off with a cheaper version of the pressure washer I have now. Now I'll use one that's slightly bigger, more heavy duty. I wish I'd kind of been able to save up and bought the heavy duty one in the first place. Probably would have lasted me longer, but in the beginning I wasn't sure how things would go. I wasn't sure if it would work, and I didn't have much experience in pressure washing, so that's how it worked out for me. The same with the gutter vac. I just bought a cheap one at first, and to be honest, it didn't last that long before the frame deteriorated. So I'm much better with the one I've got now, which is obviously the Skyvac is a really solid piece of kit, so that's lasted me a lot longer than the cheap one I had. It does depend on what you can afford at the time, I suppose. It's not just about buying that piece of equipment. Just having that piece of equipment isn't going to mean that your business automatically grows. Just because you have that piece of equipment, it doesn't mean that people are automatically going to come to you for that service. You have to have a plan in place in order to make it work. Like I did, like I'd already primed my customers. I already had customers lined up, so I knew that once I'd purchased that piece of equipment, I was going to have work for it straight away. And as soon as I'd started doing work with it, I was able to take pictures, I was able to promote it a little bit on my website, put together some leaflets. The more I did it, the more I got recommendations as well, and that all has a knock-on effect. So yeah, I think it's really important. You definitely have to have a plan in place in order to make it work. That's been my experience anyway. I hope some of those tips are useful for you there. I think with the way things are at the moment, you know, it's really have to think carefully about this kind of thing, and how we're using our funds that we have in our business to keep our businesses rolling in probably the tough times that are coming ahead. So I hope some of those tips are useful. I try to share as much of my experience and tips as I can on my channel, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and I really enjoy getting your comments as well of things that you've done and the way you've grown your business. It's great to get that sense of community when everyone chips in. So thanks for watching. Take care out there. All the best. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you again soon.